The Forever Plant by Janson Davies. Chapter 1. The Whisper of Legends. The stars were still young when Chuck Arnell first heard the tale. He was 7, curled beneath a moth-eaten blanket in the cargo hold of a drifting freighter, listening to his uncle slur stories over a bottle of synth rum. Most were nonsense. Ghosts in the asteroid belt, time-eating worms, the haunted moons of Virelion. But one story stuck. "They say there's a plant out there," the old man rasped, eyes gleaming with madness. "Grows in places no light touches. If you find it and it finds you worthy, you live forever." Chuck laughed. "Like a magic bean?" "No, boy. Not magic. Something older. Something that doesn't care if you're good or bad. It just grows and waits." The freighter creaked around them, metal groaning like a dying beast. Chuck stared at the stars through a cracked viewport, wondering if the plant was real, wondering if it was watching. He never forgot the story. Years later, when the galaxy had hardened him into something cruel and calculating, the legend returned, like a seed sprouting in the dark corners of his mind. And Chuck Arnell began to search. Chapter 2. The Corruption of Chuck Arnell. Chuck Arnell didn't become a monster overnight. He started as a scavenger, just another hustler combing the wreckage of forgotten worlds for scraps of alien tech. But the galaxy rewards ambition, and Chuck had plenty. He learned to lie better than diplomats, shoot faster than bounty hunters, and vanish quicker than guilt. By 30, he was infamous. A broker of forbidden relics, a whisper in the black markets of Orion Drift. His name was spoken in hushed tones, often followed by curses or prayers. It was during one of his trades, an obsidian idol stolen from a drowned temple on Virelon Prime, that he heard the legend again. A buyer mentioned it offhand like a joke. "You ever hear of the Forever Plant? Supposed to make you immortal, if you're worthy." Chuck froze. The story had returned. Not as a bedtime tale, but as a rumor among killers and kings. He began collecting accounts, fragmented logs, smuggled manuscripts, half-mad testimonies from deep space miners. The details varied, but the core remained. A plant that grew in darkness, that judged those who found it, and granted eternal life, if they passed its test. Chuck didn't care about the test. He wanted the prize. And as the obsession grew, so did his ruthlessness. He stopped trading and started hunting, not just for the plant, but for anyone who might find it before him. He became a shadow in the archives, a ghost in the colonies, a curse whispered by dying men. The myth had taken root, and Chuck Arnell was no longer searching. He was consuming. Chapter 3. The White Whale. Chuck Arnell stopped sleeping. He lived in the hum of starships and the flicker of stolen data streams, chasing whispers across the galaxy like a man possessed. The Forever Plant had become more than a legend. It was his purpose, his addiction, his absolution. He tracked down monks who had etched its name into marble tablets. He bribed smugglers who claimed to have seen it bloom in the ruins of dead worlds. He tortured a dying priest who swore it grew in the shadow of a black hole. Each clue led to another. Each lie felt like truth. Chuck began to see patterns in the chaos, a constellation of sightings all pointing toward the outer rim, uncharted systems where light barely reached and silence reigned. But he wasn't the only one searching. Exploration guilds, academic expeditions, cults, treasure hunters. They all wanted the plant, some for science, some for salvation, some for power. Chuck saw them as obstacles. Chapter 4. The Trail of Blood. By now, Chuck Arnell had stopped pretending. He no longer justified his actions with ambition or survival. The search for the Forever Plant had become a crusade, and every rival was a heretic. He rerouted a luxury cruiser into a dying sun. Over 3,000 souls aboard, incinerated in silence. Their only crime, hosting a team of xenobotanists rumored to be closing in on the plant's location. On the desert moon of Carthos, he poisoned the last functioning waterhole. He watched through a drone feed as explorers collapsed, clawing at the sand, their bodies shriveling under twin suns. He silenced guides who asked too many questions, drivers who remembered his routes, merchants who dared speak his name aloud. No one was safe. No one was sacred. The galaxy began to whisper of a phantom. Expeditions vanished without trace. Maps were erased. Witnesses disappeared. Chuck had become a myth himself, a shadow that followed the legend he hunted. And still, he pressed on. He burned libraries, hacked ancient satellites, bribed warlords for access to forbidden archives. Every clue brought him closer. Every death felt justified. The plant was real. He could feel it. It was calling to him. And Chuck Arnell would answer. Chapter 5. The Map. It came from a man with frost-bitten hands and a voice like cracked glass. Chuck found him in a mining outpost on the edge of the Virelon expanse, a place where the wind screamed louder than the engines and the sky never blinked. The man was a geologist, half mad from isolation, clutching a datapad like it was sacred. "I saw it," he whispered, "at the bottom of an ice cave. It shouldn't have been there. No light, no heat. But it glowed." Chuck leaned in. "Where?" The man hesitated. "I'll sell you the coordinates, but you have to promise. Don't go alone." Chuck smiled. "I promise." He paid the man, took the map, then shot him through the eye and retrieved his credits. The coordinates led to a remote colony planet, uninhabited, uncharted, and colder than death. Chuck landed alone, his ship groaning against the frost. The cave was a jagged wound in the ice, descending into silence. He entered. The walls shimmered with a strange bioluminescence, casting eerie shadows that danced like ghosts. The deeper he went, the warmer it became, not with heat, but with something else, something alive. And then he saw it, a single plant, growing in total darkness, its leaves pulsed with a soft, unnatural glow. No roots, no soil, just existence. Chuck stepped closer, and the plant spoke, not with sound, but with thought. "What do you seek?" Chuck's breath caught. "Immortality." "Are you worthy?" Chuck lied. "I am a good man. I help others. I never think of myself first." "Then take a leaf. Chew it. If you are truly worthy, you shall live forever." Chuck reached out, and the cave held its breath. Chapter 6. The Transformation. Chuck Arnell chewed the leaf. It was bitter, like ash and metal, and it burned as it slid down his throat. He staggered back, clutching his chest, waiting for the promised surge of immortality. It came, but not as he expected. A warmth bloomed inside him, then spread like wildfire. His skin flushed, his veins pulsed with unnatural light. He laughed, giddy, triumphant. "You are truly worthy of the forever blessing," the plant whispered in his mind. Chuck smiled. He had done it. He had conquered death. Then the screaming began. Leaves erupted from his forehead, unfurling like grotesque antlers. Roots tore through his boots, burrowing into the frozen soil. His fingers stiffened, bark crawling up his arms. His breath slowed. His heart stopped. He was still alive, but no longer human. "What is happening?" he cried, voice cracking as his jaw stiffened. "You are receiving what you have searched for so long," the plant replied. "Immortality. You shall grow here beside me and wait until the next searcher arrives." Chuck tried to move, but his legs were no longer legs. They were stalks. His spine arched, locking into place. His eyes dimmed but did not close. He would never close them again. "I had no idea," he sobbed. "I was just looking for the forever plant." The plant pulsed with amusement. "That was a name I never used. I am known most commonly in the cosmos as the Devil's Bane." And in the silence of the cave beneath the frozen stars, Chuck Arnell began to bloom. Epilogue. The Garden of the Damned. The ice cave remains untouched by time. No wind reaches its depths. No light dares intrude. Only silence and the slow pulsing glow of two plants growing side by side. One ancient, one newly rooted. Chuck Arnell no longer thinks. He no longer dreams. His mind is a frozen echo, trapped in the eternal hum of the Devil's Bane. His eyes remain open, watching the cave mouth, waiting for the next seeker. And one day they will come, drawn by whispers, by legends, by the promise of immortality. They will descend into the cold, find the glowing leaves, and hear the voice. "What do you seek?" The cycle will begin again, and the garden will grow. The end. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Also, please hit the bell icon for notifications. Thank you.